had the best pap smear experience today that you could possibly have. Not only was the staff charming and kind, trauma informed, so consent forward all the time, telling me what was happening, what they were going to do before they did it, asking me if I was cool with everything.
I had no idea there was such thing as like a pleasant gyno experience, or maybe not pleasant, but like not traumatizing gyno experience until I met a trauma informed one who understands that most women are survivors of some sort of schmegsual violence on some level, whether outright violence or coercion or whatever. Okay. So go watch that video. It's one of my mutuals. Apparently, the gyno had puppies. But a puppy, can you imagine the level of understanding of how traumatizing these visits are that we have to go to so regularly, knowing that like dog therapy works, man. That's why they take these dogs to like mass pew-pews, right? To comfort people who are traumatized. Let me tell you something that you should ask for your gyno. I don't know if they'll let you do it, because I know that it's also like not always easy to find a trauma-informed gyno, because apparently it's not standard. Like what? There's two things that this amazing gynecologist experience taught me. One is that I can put the thing in, the duck thing myself. So she not only told me exactly, and educated me a lot about these parts. These parts down here, I still don't know much about. You would think by now, I'm 45, I should know a thing or two. No, still don't know. But she also told me exactly what she was going to do, what it was going to feel like, not just like a little pressure. Like, you know what I mean? They always say a little pressure. That's what they said when I got my IUD, and that was not a little pressure. That was so unbelievably painful. But then, and she knew my history too. She knows that I'm a survivor of childhood SA, of domestic violence, multiple rapes, and blah, 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 right? Like I got a lot of stuff going on down here. Even if it's a woman down here, it's so traumatizing. So she was like, okay. So I always offer my patients this, because a lot of people find it way more comfortable if you want to insert it yourself. And I was like, what? What do you mean? She was like, yeah, you just like, I'm going to hand it to you. And, and it was plastic, by the way, not this cold metal thing, but this plastic thing that actually was like lit up with lights and stuff. It was like really cool. It was like a little retro, like techno, gyno techno. And so she handed it to me, like lubricated. She was like, yeah, you just stick it in like a tampon. And then when it's all set, I will take over and then, look inside. Y'all, I had no idea how much just having someone insert the duck thing into me is traumatizing. And for me to do it myself made it so much easier. And then, by the way, while she was there looking around, she was like, so I don't really see this IUD that you say you have. And I was like, yeah, it should be there. She's like, I don't see it. Did you know that they can fall out? Nobody told me that. And here's the thing. I went to the gyno before this woman, who was also a woman, who was kind of heartless. When I had told her that my periods drastically changed from 7 days long to 4, even though they had been like heavy flow 4 days, right? For like most of my adult life, it was the same. And then I got an IUD, and then I, bled like Carrie from a horror movie, just like blah blah, like, you know what I mean? It was crazy how much more I bled because of this copper thing inside of me. But I got used to it. I knew my cycle. It was consistent. And then out of nowhere, it just went to 4. It went back to 4. And so I asked the gynecologist, the different one, the first one here in France. I was like, so should I be concerned about this? You know what she said? Well, our bodies are not machines. So, and I was like, so you don't think that maybe you should look down there, make sure everything's okay? Because it seems really weird. I'm very consistent. She's like, nah, fuck off. And I was like, okay. Well, guess what? I was having unprotected schmex for 2 years because of this woman. I wasn't having totally unprotected schmex because I was hooking up all the time, but every single time I made these dudes wear a rubber because I didn't trust a single one of them, because we know men don't take care of themselves. They're definitely not getting tested, and they're too selfish to care about that impact on you, much less themselves. So I didn't trust any of them. I didn't even tell them I had an IUD, but apparently I didn't. But then, my husband and I stopped using rubbers with him because I was like, whatever, we're good. No. I can't believe I didn't get pregnant. So the point is, go to a gynecologist who listens to you, who makes you feel safe. The first time I ever went to one that made me feel that way was at Planned Parenthood, because those doctors deal with trauma. And I'm not saying all, I'm sure there's maybe some bad ones, but every time I went to Planned Parenthood, I felt cared for, understood, and not judged. But ask if you can put it in yourself, because it literally was like putting in like an enormous tampon, because we know that doctors are going to gaslight us. And it's even worse if you're Black, Indigenous, another woman of color. And so knowing what you have rights to when you go in there, because especially if they're men, you're the boss, not them. And so many of them have these God complexes. Because when I was a gynecologist that I went to many years ago, the one who delivered me was a man, but I went to him because he was my mom's gyno who literally delivered me. I didn't have my period for years. He didn't think there was anything weird about that. Like, I just remember being like, okay. Anyway, know your rights, advocate for yourself, and make sure that you're going to someone who's trauma informed, especially when it comes to gyno stuff, because otherwise you will not only be traumatized when you go to the doctor, you may just stop going like I did. I didn't go to a gyno for 5 years because I could not face being re-traumatized, and that not going to a doctor put me in serious danger. They may be doctors, but you know your body. You know your patterns. Don't let them convince you that you don't.